When a structure that looks perfectly solid suddenly collapses, it suggests the damage didn't start the moment the dust rose. Often, the failure was set in motion years earlier, working through the interior while the surface remained untouched. Jelly Roll has spent the last several years as a centerpiece of country music, building a career defined by his own redemption. But for his audience, that redemption wasn't an individual effort. It was an achievement shared with his wife. Bunnie XO and Jelly Roll met in 2015, beginning a relationship that moved with significant speed. They were married by August of 2016, establishing a partnership that would become central to their public identities. Fans didn't just see a marriage, they saw a narrative of mutual recovery. The couple spoke openly about their flaws, projecting the idea that they had found a way to heal one another's past traumas through the strength of their bond. This is why the news of their separation is so jarring. It appends the assumption that enough work and enough love can act as a permanent shield against the weight of shared history. In May, the legal reality of the split was finalized in a Tennessee court. Jelly Roll filed for divorce, a move that went largely unnoticed by the public for months. According to reports from the filing, the decision to end the marriage was mutual. Both parties have reportedly reached a point where separation is the agreed-upon path forward. In the wake of the filing, the couple has opted for privacy. Rather than making extensive public statements, they are focusing on their family and the internal process of moving on. This leaves us to consider the timeline of the relationship. We have to look at whether this is a case of two people simply growing apart, or if the marriage was under pressures that dated back much further than this year. In 2018, 2 years after their wedding, a massive rupture occurred. Jelly Roll had been involved in a 10-month affair. Bunnie XO took the news public. This represented a significant portion of their time together, creating a betrayal many relationships do not survive. Statistically, a breach of trust this sustained often leads to immediate and permanent separation. The sheer duration of the infidelity suggests a deep disconnection from the marriage's foundations. However, Jelly Roll and Bunnie chose to stay. They publicly committed to a process of reconciliation, attempting to repair the damage and move forward as a couple. While they stayed together, the 2018 affair introduced a persistent variable into the marriage. It was a crack in the foundation that, even if patched, changed the dynamic of the relationship from that point on. To earn back his wife's trust, Jelly Roll adopted a strategy of total public accountability, using podcast microphones to discuss his mistakes with millions. In these interviews, he described the affair as the darkest period of his adulthood. He spoke about the emotional consequences of his actions and the regret he felt for the damage he had caused. He admitted that the situation forced him to confront his own psychological patterns. He recognized that fixing the relationship required massive personal work on his part. For years, the public saw only the progress. Through social media updates, in-depth emotional interviews, and public appearances, the couple projected a story of successful forgiveness, making many believe the crisis was fully closed. But maintaining a high-profile redemption story is an exhausting task. The pressure to perform a perfect recovery in public can sometimes hide the private strain of trying to hold a fractured bond together. Now we are seeing the final result of that timeline. The mutual divorce filing in May brings the history of the relationship back into focus. One possibility is that we are witnessing a delayed collapse. This occurs when the accumulated weight of a past betrayal, even one that was forgiven, eventually exceeds what the relationship can support, causing the old fractures to reappear. On the other hand, the two might have successfully moved past the affair, only to find that the people they became during the healing process were no longer compatible. They may have simply grown in different directions after years of effort. For the fans, the reaction is one of genuine loss. The couple was viewed as a primary example of how second chances can work, and seeing it end challenges that sense of hope. It is important to remember that a divorce does not necessarily mean the years of effort and forgiveness were a waste. A relationship can contain genuine growth and respect and still reach a point where it can no longer continue. The end of this marriage suggests that while forgiveness is a powerful tool, it does not always return a relationship to its original state. Sometimes, the history of a bond changes its nature so significantly that even the most sincere attempts at repair reach a limit.